Forgiveness is a volatile subject. We know this much already. It would seem that the general masses are not too keen or not yet ready to forgive their elected enemy, and so remain suspended in a uniform state of perpetual angst, exhausting unfathomable amounts of seminal energy which could be better utilized in pursuit of creative generation or regeneration, rather than the destructive pursuit of witnessed revenge. How much more could the individual, the community, the city, the country, the world achieve if the greater majority of its creative juices, its attention, were not stolen by the hidden enemy of ignorance? We have held grudges and been incarnated into an emotional inferno because of our own errors. The flames of anger always tend to burn us before they ever reach our enemy. We have forgiven and been soothed in the cool waters of grace. We have also been forgiven and felt the savage scold of burning coals heaped upon thy head by the bestower. This video is a short dip into why you should forgive. So without further ado, take a deep breath and let's begin. Most of us think we are free. We believe we are free human beings, but this is a lie. So, how can we escape when we are not even aware that we are imprisoned? The devil, as they say, was never so happy when he convinced people that he did not exist. The Buddha tells us that all suffering finds its root in ignorance. Thomas Aquinas defines freedom as the result of consistently using free will to make choices that accord with wisdom and love. When we lose our ability to do this, because our autonomy has been impaired or stolen, and we make bad choices, we become imprisoned in and determined by the subsequent reality that these actions create. The first glimpse of freedom occurs when we awaken from the conceptual dream and recognize that money, wealth, privilege, accumulation, accolades, the respect of our fellow man, and so on, they do not lead us to emancipation. Quite the opposite. Craving for and needing anything always, inevitably, leads to suffering. Freedom, or the quest for it, is worth every one of your hours and your very last penny in its pursuit. And if freedom from sadness, from suffering, from the residual ache of historical abuse is your goal, there is no better place to start the search than by looking at the things that currently stand between you and your liberation. We do not even have the power to forgive in that sense. Pardon is not a human imperative, it is a divine attribute. We do not have the power to forgive others. We do not even have the power to forgive ourselves. We do, however, have the power to give our complaint over to a power that does. You might not immediately associate ill health with bitterness and resentment, or good health with forgiveness, but the two are intrinsically and intimately and most definitely linked. The moment we find certainty regarding the law of causation, and this in itself is a process that cannot be hurried, we lighten the load physically, physiologically, emotionally, psychologically, sociologically, and metaphysically. Holding on to the suffering of historical abuse can leave us in an acute state of anxiety, living in a vulnerable and defenseless body. We cannot defend our boundaries because the stressed biology has, unconsciously, drawn blood away from the immune function and pumped it to body parts that are in a constant state of high alert to a physical threat that might never occur. We are, in common parlance, fighting on too many fronts, most of which are illusory, created by an overactive mind. In short, our adrenals are stuck in a perpetual state of anticipation. Letting go of the hate, the anger, the resentment, the dissonance of old wounds greatly diminishes our chances of becoming unhealthily stressed. It increases our immunity. If we release the stressor, there can be no stress. It decreases our chances of becoming sick, and, over time, it offers us back the most important thing that was lost in the fire, our freedom. Hate is a trap. Fear is a trap. Anger and rage and resentment are baited traps that most of humanity falls into. The ego will eat hate for breakfast, dinner, and tea, but the soul finds it indigestible. In fact, it is tortured by it. The false ego feeds on hate. It grows fat and strong on hate. And this is the reason why anger and hate and war are sold to the masses as righteous entertainment. Hate is a nosebag. It feeds the horse ego obese and keeps the soul emancipated and tortured and in the dark. Hate is bait, and it leads us into a trap. Balance is the key. It is what nature teaches. It is the lesson implicitly taught to us by the stars and the planets. It is what we see when we look through a telescope into the dark night skies. We are the living, breathing, self-leveling universe ever seeking balance. Resentment in all its disguises destabilizes us. Even if we demonize the popular hate figures, the voice of government officialdom, the face of the despot, the behavior of the greedy banker, or the violent fundamentalist, if we hate them, we destabilize our own balance because hate is a trap. Even when it appears to be justified, hate rebounds on itself. To hate anyone is to hate yourself. Our universe is touch sensitive to us. It responds to each individual human soul. When we drop a pebble in the world pond, it reacts. It has always been so. It is always so. It will always be so in the future. You are the only one looking through your eyes, and if they see even a little, you will know that the entire galaxy is within you. You are the universe. When we walk through the streets and roads and the cities of our world, we are literally walking through ourselves. Everything in the universe is connected, just as the cells within each human body are linked. From the tip of our toes to the top of our crown, those around us can be lifted and inspired with as little as an upward curve of our mouth, and they can be deflated with as little as the cynical squint of our eyes. Children crushed by the loaded weight of a parent's glare. Grown men weep when their idol offered them a loving embrace. Kind emails and messages and lines in books and songs have prevented suicides. Unkind Twitter posts have tormented souls and sent them to an early grave. See the power you can wield. Accept the power graciously and responsibly, and refuse to put any noise out into the world that does not come from the trumpet of love. Compassion is not just a word we pluck from the sky and place at the end of every sentence. Compassion is a holy attribute, one of the many arms of law reaching out of the universe to assist us. When we are in possession of compassion, we are cloaked in the armor of angels. We are immunized by the vaccine of truth. Compassion is love, working through us. When we remove the scab of resentment, we reveal the healing wound of love. When you talk about love, people think you have gone soft. They think you've gone all socks and sandals, that you are presenting a soft modality for a hard world problem. Not so. There is no harder problem than love, because in order to access love, which is there all the time, it is the constant. You have to first eschew everything that is not love. And once love is revealed, the residue of anti-love that might still reside in you will be devastated. On contact with love, it is wiped clean, like unprocessed camera film, exposed prematurely to the light. Love is always there. It is the backboard to our reality. It is the invisible matter that holds our universe together. It is the space between words, the silence behind thoughts, the still in nothingness that supports and connects and holds together all of our noisy, busy lives. Love is the most available constant. It is the only constant. When we open up our hearts to compassion, now for other people, the saint or the sinner, the good citizen, or the barking dog of criminality, we do not just access love for our fellow beings, we access compassion for ourselves. Our whole being is infused with the healing power of love, the elixir of life, when we call it forward for others. If there is an agenda, it is not love. If fiscal profits is your secret aim, it is not love. If personal recognition is important to you, it is not love. If you are looking for followers, it is not love. If you desire recognition or accolades for your charity, it is not love. If you are upset when you or your work are overlooked, it is not love. If you think yourself special because of your contribution, it is not love. If you criticize others because they are not as kind as you, or as spiritually advanced as you, or as busy doing good as you, it is not love. Call on love for the sinner as keenly as you call on love for yourself. When we forgive our resentments from our mind, love is revealed. If you would like to learn far more about why you should forgive, then please take a look at our book, 99 Reasons to Forgive by Jeff Thompson, who also provided the words for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to O Books Presents for future content, and we'll see you next time.